Hello, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel, The Movie Canon. We are live. I'm starting a little late right now because there was an issue with the camera again. The camera was very, very glitchy like last time. I thought I fixed it. I did an update, and for some reason it's still doing the glitchiness, as you can see here. So here's the other camera. It might be a little glitchy, although of course it's not doing it. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right, so it is very glitchy still. So I'll be using the main camera here, although you can tell that the lighting is a little off, a little different, a little cooler colors there. So welcome to my YouTube channel, The Movie Canon. I'm being joined today by my brother Matthew,
What's good?
and this is the latest episode of Horror Talk. So this is episode 2 of the Movie Canon's Horror Talk, and we're doing a couple things pertaining to this new episode. And this is all Scream, Ghostface, all of that stuff. That is what's happening today. So we're doing a non-spoiler review of Scream 6 that came out yesterday. Um, Definitely, Matthew, when we talk about this movie, keep that in mind that this is non-spoilery. I know it's very, very hard to
Review a screen movie.
yeah, especially a Scream movie when it comes to who's the killer or whatever. So remember, non-spoiler. Hopefully, we don't slip up, but probably not. So we'll see what happens here. So again, thanks so much everyone for joining us today. Now the way this is going to work, we're going to do the non-spoiler review, like I mentioned, of Scream 6, and then we're going to rank. Well, actually, the ranking for Ghostface Killers is my list. Matthew hasn't seen all of them, and then let me know if there's an issue with the mic. If you can't hear me or something, let me know. And then Matthew as well, his mic.
Yes.
Please let me know if there's any issue with that. So I'm ranking all the Ghostface Killers, and when I say all, I mean Scream 1 through Scream 5. Initially, I was gonna rank all of them, including Scream 6, but I will talk about the Ghostface Killers for Scream 6 at the end of the stream. Then we'll get into spoilers about that. I'm not necessarily going to review the movie in the spoilery manner, but I will talk a lot about the revelations of Scream 6, and so we'll talk about that. So the ranking again is just for Scream 1 through 5, which is 9 killers. We'll talk about those in a moment, and I'll give you a little bit more details about how we're going to break it down. But the one thing that I will say is that when it comes to considering the ranking of the Ghostface Killers, there's a few factors that I consider, and then I'll talk about to you guys about that. And again, everyone, the main camera that I use, Facecam, is still glitchy. I thought I fixed it, but I did the update. It worked last week, and it's still doing the glitchiness. So I'm using this other camera. So that's going to be the main one. Although this one has a battery, so it might die. So that's why I still have this one open, just in case. You never know here. All right, so let's see. What should we begin with here? So we have. Oh, let me do the giveaways. So we're still doing the Hogwarts Legacy giveaway, a PS5 physical copy, deluxe edition. I have been getting a lot of entries. People are subscribing, following the Movie Canon Instagram page and YouTube channel. So definitely keep doing that. We're getting very close to the minimum entries. So it sounds like I'm pretty confident now that we will hit the minimum number of entries for this Hogwarts Legacy giveaway. So as far as to how we're gonna actually do the giveaway itself, there might be a little bit of changes as to how we're gonna do that, but I'll keep you guys updated. I definitely do want to do it in a stream like this, but I'll give you more details about that. But definitely refer your friends, family, and so on, because it looks like I am going to give away for sure this Hogwarts Legacy PS5 deluxe edition physical copy. And then Matthew, you've played this game, right? So are you
I've
liking it so
gotten
far?
a decent. I definitely do like it. I've gotten, I think, maybe 14 hours into it.
All right, so 14 hours of that. All right, so let's see here. So we should probably get started with this Scream 6 non-spoiler review. Again, this is the second episode of Horror Talk. So let's begin here. So we have here Scream 6 non-spoiler review, as I mentioned, which came out yesterday. And we have here, it is directed by Matt Bettinelli, Open, and Tyler Gillette. These are the co-directors for Ready or Not. I don't know. Have you ever heard of that movie, Matthew, before? Ready or Not?
I might have.
And then it's written by James Vanderbilt, who wrote Zodiac. And he actually wrote the first Amazing Spider-Man movie with Andrew Garfield. And he has a story by credit for Amazing Spider-Man 2. And that's James Vanderbilt. And Guy Busick, he's also the co-writer for Scream 6. He also wrote Ready or Not. And he is writing the upcoming Final Destination 6 movie, which is planned to be dropped on HBO Max. So, as we always do here, when it comes to these non-spoiler, or any kind of review, really, when we do any review at Movie Canon, I like to use the positives or the pros, the negatives or the cons of the movies. So we have that. I have a couple here that I'm going to talk about here. And then Matthew, I mean, you saw the movie with me yesterday.
I sure did.
But let's start with some of the positives. So I'll start giving you guys one of the positives that I have here. Okay, so again, Scream 6, which came out a little over a year after Scream 5, which came out in January of last year. So initially, when it came to Scream 5, when I first watched it, I enjoyed it fine, but there were some issues that I had with it, so I didn't love it as much as other Scream movies. So when I heard that they were rushing, well, this is my interpretation. When I heard that they were making Scream 6 and it's coming out like within a year, I thought that they were rushing it, and maybe it would affect the overall quality of the movie, the story, the direction, or whatever the case might be. So I was a little concerned about Scream 6, but I'm very glad to announce here that I really, really liked Scream 6 more so than last year's Scream 5, or just also known as just Scream. So I really, really like Scream 6. There's a lot of stuff in there that really, really worked for me. So there's a lot of positives, a lot of pros, and let's start with those positives, shall we? All right, so let's begin here. So we have the opening scene of Scream 6. The reason why I like the opening scene particularly than all the other ones is that it was different than the others. But at the same time, it was still honoring the tradition of an opening Scream scene. One of the issues that I had with Scream 5 when it comes to the opening scene is that they didn't really change anything up. It's like, yes, we get the typical Scream opening with the Ghostface killer, and Ghostface goes and attacks a person or two. So we got that from Scream 5, which was fine, but it was kind of expected, and I wanted a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a twist and turn there, and we didn't really get that for Scream 5. There's big differences in Scream 6 opening, but still, like I said, honoring the tradition of an opening Scream scene. So that was good. And then if you haven't seen this movie yet, you'll know exactly what I mean, and I think a lot of you guys will like that. The actress Melissa Barrera, who plays Samantha or Sam, her performance in this movie was much better than it was on Scream 5. There's no question about it. One of the weaknesses of Scream 5 was her performance, and she's playing the same character in this movie, but she's doing it a lot better. So I do like that. I like that change. So that was good. And then considering that this is a horror movie, just like what is it? It. You know how it is a straight up horror movie. There's like a lot of funny scenes in it. Scream 6 always has like some really funny moments, right? And there's definitely several legit funny moments in this movie that will especially please fans of the franchise. When, like, again, if you haven't seen this movie and you're a big Scream fan, you know exactly what I mean. There was a couple times in there that was hilarious. Another positive here, another pro. I actually cared about the Scream 5 surviving characters. Their chemistry was even better in this movie than the last. And again, we're having the same directors, the same writers of Scream 5. So, so I mean, I don't know what they did. I mean, maybe they just got a little bit more practice or something, but all of that stuff is better. It's definitely much better there. Okay, so that's another pro for me here. Um, Overall, Scream 6, it was entertaining from the beginning to the very end. There were very few quote unquote dead scenes that could have been disposed of. There's definitely were a couple in there, but there weren't that many like other movies or other franchises and so on. And then the other thing is, I thought I would miss Woodsboro for Scream 6, since it's setting in this movie is set in New York, as I'm sure a lot of you already know. It's in the posters and the trailers and everything. And I thought that because of the setting change, I thought it might suffer. Like in my opinion, it kind of suffered in Scream 3, which they went to Hollywood. So I kind of thought that maybe we'll get the same effect with Scream 6, but it actually worked very, 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 very well. So there you go. So Scream 6 delivers, in my opinion, as a horror, a suspense, and overall entertaining movie. So that's my positives, pros thoughts on Scream 6, non-spoilery. Matthew, how about you? What are your thoughts on just the positives? And again, no spoilers, no spoilers.
Well, I also thought the opening was really well done. I think the first like 30-40 minutes were like basically perfect. Like by the time the movie started to slow down, I checked my watch and 40 minutes had already passed, and it felt like 20 minutes maybe, if even that. But the first the first third basically had you like on edge the entire time, and like it kept the suspense high, and I really enjoyed that.
All right. Any other positive, any other pros you want to add in here before we move on to the negatives of Scream 6?
I liked how the stakes felt higher in this movie because you actually cared about the characters.
Yeah. Yeah. That was definitely something a little bit more different than Scream 5. There was plenty of stakes in Scream 5, but I felt it more in this movie. So that's definitely true. And I think it's because I did end up liking the characters more this time around, that you actually feel it. Like if they were to actually get killed off, you would feel it. So that was very, very, very good. All right, so are we ready to move on to the negatives? It looks like here. So again, everyone, if you're just joining in, this is a non-spoiler review of Scream 6. So no spoilers here. The spoiler aspect of this stream today regarding Scream 6 is towards the end of the stream, and I'll let you guys know when we get to the spoilery part. You'll definitely know. So this non-spoiler review of Scream 6, just for the ones who have just recently joined us. All right, so we just went over the positives of Scream 6, so let's begin with the negatives. So let's see here. So we have... Actually, Matthew, do you have any negatives already?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I can't really like for negatives on this movie. I can't really think of much at the top of my head.
Okay, because I know your grade, because you already shared your grade with me, so I know it's a little higher than mine. But
a little, yeah.
I do have a few negatives, not as much as positives, but I do have a few negatives or cons for Scream 6. So the first one is here. So we get a lot of these, and this is not just Scream 6, but just in general, a lot of like horror movies, suspense, and so on. So we get that typical moment that we see in many movies like Scream, and more recently in Terrifier, where the hero is able to like completely knock down the killer, but instead continues to run away for some reason. Instead of like, maybe I should charge at the individual, the villain or the killer, and try to like end it there, right? So that happened a lot in Terrifier, and that kind of like annoyed me with Terrifier, when like someone would like knock him down and is like, he's down, like go in and try to like take it out, like take him out right there. You have an opportunity, and then they just run away and start screaming. So this happens a few times in this movie. And then also, there's another issue that I had with Scream 6 that happened a couple times there. the need to announce that you're about to shoot someone in a horror movie happens, like I said, a couple times in this movie. It's kind of like they're going to announce it, or they say something and then they shoot, which gives the opportunity of whoever to kind of get away. So that was, I would say that's a negative. I think we could avoid that in the future. I would say so, right? Let's
Yes.
see. Hold on a moment here. So that's another thing there. And then also the character, what's her name? Kirby?
Oh yeah.
Kirby Reed. I didn't buy Kirby Reed's purpose for this new entry. It kind of seemed a bit forced. Now she was in Scream 4, and I mean I'm guessing they just wanted to bring someone back from another Scream movie into this one, and her return here seemed kind of forced. So I think that was kind of a negative, and she was kind of off, kind of odd, but that's kind of a negative. Like it didn't ultimately affect my experience with Scream 6, but it was kind of odd. And then I think this might be the last thing here. There were certain actions that Gail Weathers does in this movie that made me question the writing of her character, and again, it kind of seemed forced. There's a lot of things with with characters that they're supposed to grow, right? Especially when we get to a franchise, like we're in the sixth entry, Scream 6, right? So we know these characters, and you expect them to grow somewhat, right? And the way that they written Gail Weathers in this movie, it seemed like maybe she didn't learn her lesson. So that's kind of like a negative for me. Matthew, are you ready for any negatives? So said you didn't really have that many,
Yes,
but
actually, the like you said, the entire Go Weathers character, I was kind of tired of her within like 30 seconds of her showing up. Um, I didn't really like her that much in Scream 5, so her kind of appearing, I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. But then she like was just like kind of annoying this entire movie,
okay.
especially like her whole writing books things that she's always done. I never really understood that. Obviously capitalizing off her trauma, but yeah, I'm not really a fan of her character and her inclusion in this movie kind of.
And then remember, non-spoilers
Yes.
here.
Yep.
So non-spoilers, just reminding everyone here because there's some people that just joined in here. So again, this is a non-spoiler review of Scream 6. Continue, Matthew. Any other negatives? Any other things that you did not like?
Yeah, like you said, Kirby's inclusion doesn't really. Like she could have not been in this movie. It would have been basically the same. And
Is that right though?
yeah, I mean, for the most part, yes.
All right. Let's see here. So I think that's it for the review for Scream 6. I think we're ready to call it or at least to be able to grade it, right?
Yes.
So let's see here. So again, going back here to what I initially said. Why is this not working here? Okay, there you go. Scream 6 is, in my opinion, much better than Scream 5. Now, I did like Scream 5, like I mentioned, but I like Scream 6 more, a lot more. If you go back to Scream 4, I think I like Scream 6 more than Scream 4. If you go back to Scream
Agreed.
3, Scream 3 is still my least favorite, so it's still at the end or last. So Scream 6 is still better than Scream 3. So Scream 2 and then the first one and Scream 6, from my opinion, those are the top 3, maybe. I'm not entirely sure about 2 and 4 yet. But I mean, I'm not going to rank all the Scream movies right now exactly, but Scream 6 is definitely up there. And like I mentioned earlier, even though it's not set in Woodsboro, I thought it would affect it. It's in New York City, and it worked very, very well. And there's enough changes, enough differences to keep you at the edge of your seat and stuff, and add tension and entertainment and horror. So I think a lot of people will like Scream 6, whether you're a horror fan, a Scream fan, just want an entertaining popcorn movie. I think is really good. So I definitely recommend you guys to watch this in the theater, because I'm always an an advocate when it comes to let's go to the movie theater, right? Because you get a better experience. So I really, really, really liked Scream 6. So there's that. Now, as far as the uh, the grade, oh, we have a comment here. So we have Billy Goat 126. Hi. So that's Joe. So hello, Joe. ERM19. That's Robbie. Hi, Robbie. And Nayana Kaur. Kirby didn't do it for me either. Okay, yeah. So it's not just me. So Kirby did seem like she was kind of forced and whatnot. And like I said, I'm not going to go into details because this is not a spoiler review, but it didn't really work for me. So we got that. Let's see. Oh, we're going to get to the grade. Any last things you want to say before we get to the grade, Matthew?
I did like Scream 6 more than Scream 5. I want it's not too much, maybe like one letter grade. Scream 5 would probably be like a B. So yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're going to get to the grade. So here we go. And again, everyone, one of the cameras is still showing it's kind of glitchy, so I apologize for that again. I think I am going to have to replace this camera. I thought I fixed it earlier, but... So here's the grade for Scream 6. So you see on my side of the camera here, of the screen, you see Gio's grade. This is a C. I'm going to grade it a B+. There's a lot of positives, a lot of good things in this movie. There's definitely a few negative things in there as well. But overall, it was very entertaining, and I did enjoy it. And I wouldn't mind rewatching it again in the theaters, because there's some stuff that I want to clarify. Which I'll actually get to that towards the end. So B+, C it. And then Matthew?
I gave it an A- and also a C.
Okay, so there's also C it. And you liked it just a little bit more.
Yeah, like barely.
Yeah, just barely, but grade A-. So that's Matthew. So it's a very positive, favorable review for Scream 6. So definitely go watch that movie. All right, so let's move on to... Let's see. Oh, we're gonna get to the ranking. Okay, so again, when we get to the ranking, so I am ranking the Ghostface Killers. There's a situation regarding this. So hold on a second here. I'm trying to get the graphic since I'm doing this on my own here. So we have. Okay, so ranking the Ghostface Killers. So the situation is this. I was going to rank all of them, all Ghostface Killers, including just Scream 6. There's one or two or whatever. I was going to rank them all. When I get to the spoilery part, I'll tell you why. But I'm only going to do Scream 1 through 5. So I'll rank those. And the way I'm going to consider these is by this. So we have these factors: the level of brutality, the character, actor's performance, and the motive. So those are the 4 factors that I'm going to use in ranking these Ghostface killers. Right? So we got that. So let's see here. So, and then, not just that, we're going to do strengths, neutrality, and weaknesses. So using the other factors, I'm going to attach them to what are the strengths, the weaknesses. And when I say neutrality, I mean they weren't great at this, they weren't strong at this, they weren't weak at this. It's just in the middle. Like, I don't care either way. They were fine, but not great, but not horrible either, not terrible either. So that's what I mean when I say neutrality. So that's where we're at. Okay, so let's see where we're at here. So I already explained all that, right? So we got the factors: level of brutality, character, actor's performance, motive. Now Matthew has not seen all the Scream movies, right, Matthew?
I have not
Which
seen
ones?
2 and 3.
2 and 3 you haven't seen?
Yeah, I have not seen.
Okay, so all right, so you got that. So you've seen all the other ones. So let's begin with the ranking. So let's see here, because I have my little notes here. Okay, so number 9 is Amber Freeman. That's the character. And when it comes to the factors, Let's get here. Okay, so here we go. The strengths, level of brutality. Even though it doesn't make sense, she was kind of pretty brutal
Somehow.
in Scream 5, but some of the things didn't really make much sense to me, but it's there. Weaknesses, character. Character is just, she was just, I didn't really care for the character, so I just put it under weakness. And then motive, and motive was weak, as I mentioned here. So let me go into more details about that, actually. Let me see, where is it here? Hold on a moment here. Where is it? I just had it here right now. Oh, here we are. Okay, so we have. Okay, so going to actually, let me just read. Let me just read all the motives for everyone. And I already announced number 9, but let me just go back and just mention all of the motives, because the motives are pretty important, right? So let me just go over the motives here. So we have here. So we have Billy Loomis, Skeet Ulrich, and Stu Mocker, or Matthew Lillard. So their motivations from the first Scream is as follows. It says, according to Stu, he went along with Billy's killing because he was sensitive and fell victim to peer pressure. However, Billy's motives were that Sidney's mother had an affair with Billy's father, which led to Billy and Stu killing Sidney's mother and continuing a murder spree. So those are the motives for the killers in the first Scream. In Scream 2, and again, these movies came out years ago, so there's spoilers if you haven't seen it, including you, Matthew. I know you haven't seen Scream 2 or Scream 3, but there's a lot of spoilers here right now. Scream 2, the killers for Scream 2 are Mrs. Nancy Loomis, also known as Debbie Salt, played by Laurie Metcalf, and Mickey. Actually, I forgot the last name. I know they showed it in other movies before, but I don't remember the last name. But it's Mickey. We know him as Mickey. Timothy Oliphant is the actor who's playing him. The motivations there are Mrs. Loomis's motive for killing Sidney and her friends was revenge for Sidney killing her son. It's pretty straightforward. Mickey's motivations are to get caught and gain infamy, which is kind of, it's very similar to some of the other motivations. In Scream 3, we have Roman Bridger, played by Scott Foley. Motivations there are Sidney's half-brother wants to achieve celebrity and notoriety because he believes that he has always lived in her shadow. So that's Scream 3. In Scream 4, we have two killers, Jill Roberts, Emma Roberts, and Charlie Walker, played by one of the Culkin brothers, Rory Culkin, who was in Signs also, by the way. Motivations there. Jill's undivided obsession with being the famous final girl leads her to kill her accomplice, Charlie, so she can become the next superstar. She even says that people don't have to work anymore in today's world. According to her, they just need something brutal to happen to them to become a star. Charlie was the first stab fan Ghostface Killer and may have done the most kills in Scream 4. Jill, though, convinced Charlie of manifesting his stab movie dreams to reality in the form of a real-life remake. So that's Scream 4. Motivations here in Scream 5, so the one from last year, or just also known as Scream. We have Richie Kirsch, played by Jack Quaid. That's Jack Quaid, right?
Yeah, Jack Quaid.
And Amber Freeman, played by Mikey, or is it Mikey? Mikey Madison. Motivations in Scream 5. We have Richie explains he was motivated to start his murder spree in Woodsboro as a means of repairing the Stab franchise, as he wants to bring the horror series back to basics, like being based on a true story. Amber's motivations: after her parents bought the old Mocker house on Turner Lane, Amber became obsessed with the Ghostface killing sprees and the Stab franchise. So those are all the motivations, which I actually meant to do that earlier, but those are all the motivations for Ghostface Killers, Screams 1 through 5. Again, if you're just joining us, this is still the non-spoilery part of Scream 6. I am ranking all the Ghostface Killers, but I'm not talking about Scream 6 right now. So let's go back to where I was. So I said that number 9, there's 9 Ghostface Killers from Scream 1 through Scream 5. And I mentioned that it was Amber Freeman, number 9. So let's go to the motivations here, or to the factors, I should say. So strengths, again, level of brutality. Weaknesses, character and motive. Neutrality, the actor's performance. Her performance, she didn't really stand out to me, so that's why it's kind of weak in here. But her level of brutality, like I said, it's good. It just didn't really make much sense to me. But that's a strength for her. And then she has all those 2 other weaknesses, character and motive. Matthew, any thoughts at all pertaining to this choice?
I agree with this being the last pick, even though I haven't seen 2 and 3, but her inclusion was like just really random in my opinion, and then her motivation was just like, okay, I guess. So I do agree with this being number 9. This would also be my last pick.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to number 8. So again, number 8, Ghostface Killers, is Roman Bridger. So he's the Ghostface Killer from Scream 3, and he's the sole Ghostface Killer of that movie. So let's go back to the strengths, the factors here. So we have strengths, level of brutality, and actor's performance. So the actor, Scott Foley, I mean, he was good in this. He's been in other shows in the past. He was well known, and he was fine in the performance there. That's one of the strengths there. And the level of brutality, so he was able to do quite a bit in that movie. And he changed things up a little bit compared to the other 2 movies at that point. The weaknesses, the character, I did not like the character at all. He's a filmmaker, a director, and his character was kind of annoying, so didn't really care so much for that. The motive was pretty weak, as I already explained earlier what the motives were for him, for Bridger, and I thought that was kind of weak. So I didn't really care too much for the motive. So that's why it's in the weaknesses. Then Matthew, I know you haven't seen this movie, so you don't have any opinion on this one, right? It
looks like a number 8 kind of guy.
It looks like a number 8 kind of guy. All right. Yeah. We have Nayana in the comments section. That's exactly what I said. Definitely would rank him as 8. Rewatched it last night, and he was mid. Okay, so you still want to watch Scream 3, Matthew?
Maybe not.
Okay. I mean, you should probably still watch 2 and 3, so that you can say that you watched all of them. All right, so that's number 8. Okay, so let's move on to the number 7 spot. And I think Matthew may not agree with me.
I don't.
So number 7 is Richie. And I'm trying to find my notes here, but now I can't find them. Where is it? Okay, Richie Kirsch. Okay, so this is played by Jack Quaid in Scream 5. And the factors there are this. Strengths, we have the neutrality and the weaknesses. So strengths, we have character. Yeah, I like the character in this movie. Like, I thought that maybe he would be, a good guy. So I kind of bought into that. So he was good in that. Then we have the actor's performance. So Jack Quaid did a great job as the character. So he's the son of 2 other famous actors. So the performance, I don't think that was going to be an issue. And it wasn't. So that's a strength. Now, getting to the weaknesses, we have level of brutality. I believe Amber was the one who did the majority of the killings.
Yes. In
Scream 5. And he kind of hung out, basically. So I will say that's a weakness. The motive was kind of weak. I already mentioned that earlier, but I did feel that Richie's motives were kind of weak. And we kind of seen that before in Scream 3 and other Scream movies. So I thought that was kind of weak. So that's why he's kind of down there. Any thoughts on this Ghostface Killer, Matthew?
Well, I do agree that he did just kind of hang out. He was definitely supposed to be the one you wouldn't have guessed, even though, I guess both were in a way, in my opinion. But I did like his character a lot. I'm very Jack Quaid biased. I do love Jack Quaid as an actor.
Because The Boys?
Yes, The Boys.
The show The Boys?
Yeah. His motive I thought was very like meta, like very Star Wars fan. I want to bring the movies back to basic. I think it was like making fun of
Star Wars, right? Like Star
film
Wars,
bros. Yeah,
like those Star Wars fans.
yeah.
Like, go
Those
back to the original trilogy.
basically. Yeah, I thought I did like his motive, even though it was just like really dumb. But I did like it for being dumb.
All right. So let's move on to the number 6 spot. Number 6 is Mickey from Scream 2. Here are the factors. So we have here strengths, level of brutality. Again, Mickey, I believe he did, I'm pretty sure he did the majority of the kills in Scream 2. That opening scene in Scream 2 is definitely one of my favorites. The movie theater screening of Stab. That kill was really, really good, and I really like that opening scene from Scream 2, and he was the Ghostface killer for that scene. And he kills Jada Pinkett Smith in a very dramatic performance. So you should definitely see that, at least that scene, Matthew, from Scream 2. So that's the level of brutality. The actor's performance, Timothy Olyphant is good. He's a good actor. He performed well. The acting was not a problem at all. It was one of the strengths, so that's why he's on there as actor's performance. Weaknesses, there wasn't any real big weaknesses that stood out to me, but there was a lot of middle of the road factors in there. Like the character was kind of annoying, but not enough to be a weakness. Maybe because he's like, I think he's gone like half of the movie. Like he's gone from the movie for a long time that you forget that he's in there. The motive was, I mean, I could understand that. That's kind of one of the first things that they bring up and start talking about, like, let's get famous, let's get infamous, and let's blame killer violence or movie violence or whatever. And it was some kind of weird philosophy. I don't think it was necessarily strong, but I don't think it was weak. And it's the first time that they kind of used that in a way. So the motive was, I was neutral about it. So that's why there's the character and the motive in there. We have Nayana in the comment section. I love the irony of the opening in Scream 2. Yeah, I definitely like that too. And then Matthew definitely watched the opening. Actually watched Scream 2. I know a lot of people don't like Scream 2. I actually do really like Scream 2. But that opening scene is a lot of fun. So yeah.
Sure.
Billy Goat 126 says, what movie are you talking about? I don't know which section. Are you talking about my ranking of Mickey right now? Because he's in Scream 2. He's one of the Ghostface Killers in Scream 2. So there you go. All right, so that was that. Let's move on to the number 5 spot. And we have Emma Roberts playing Jill Roberts. So much of a stretch there. So Emma Roberts is Julia Roberts' niece. And I can't remember the dad's name. I know last name is Roberts, but the dad he's in the Dark Knight. He's one of the mobsters in the Dark Knight. So anyway, she is one of the Ghostface Killers, and she's the number 5 spot. Now let's get to the factors. Let me get there. Hold on a sec. Oh, there you go. So the strengths, weaknesses, and neutralities. So the strengths, the character. I like the character. I mean, I just like the character. I mean, that's all I can really say about that right now. The motive is pretty strong. It does kind of fall with the let's get famous, but I think she explained it a little bit more thoroughly and better than the other ones. So the motive was strong. One of the stronger things there. I don't have any weaknesses in there because they just none of those stood out to me. Again, we'll get to neutrality in the actor's performance and the level of brutality. When it comes to level of brutality, I'm not sure how much she actually does in the killing. I think the majority, at least the really gruesome ones, are from Charlie, who's the other Ghostface killer in Scream 4. The actor's performance, she was not great, not terrible. When it's revealed that she's one of the Ghostface killer, I didn't really buy it that much. that she was like the villain and all this other shit. So that's why she's kind of like in the middle. I didn't hate it, but she was kind of like in the middle. And Chevo confirms here Scream 2. Okay, so yeah, so it was Mickey Scream 2. And I don't know if you've seen that, Chevo Scream 2, but yeah, so he was in that. And going back here to Scream 4, that's Emma Roberts playing Gio Roberts. And she's at number 5. You've seen Scream 4, right, Matthew?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on her on this list?
Well, what I remember about Scream 4 is that it was kind of crazy, in my personal opinion. But I do remember her motive was just kind of like to kind of be Sydney, like
Right,
the
yeah.
be the famous person. So she just wanted that.
With a sole survivor.
Yeah, I think she said like she wanted fans or something.
Yeah, she wanted to be like her. I think her aunt, right? I think she was the niece of Sydney in this movie, Scream 4. So we got that. So that's number 5. So let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is Mrs. Loomis, and I think a lot of people may not agree with this. I kind of do because she's that's Billy's mom. So she wanted revenge of her mom. Her son getting killed by Sydney and her friend's order. And so it kind of makes sense as far as this lady going out and wearing the Ghostface Killer outfit and go killing people. I mean, that's a stretch, right? But it's a Scream movie. It's a horror movie. So I bought into it. So I liked her. I liked that she was in there and stuff like that. The factors here. So we have the strengths. The character. I like the character because even before she was revealed to be the killer, she was kind of like charming. She was kind of fun. She was like a journalist, like Gail Weathers or whatever. So she was kind of interesting, and I liked her in it. So her character was strong to me. The motive, like I mentioned, was strong. She getting revenge because she's the mom of Billy Loomis. So there's a bunch of stuff going on with that, with Sydney's mom and Sydney's mom's death and Billy's death and so on. So the motives are really strong, as I mentioned. And then actress performance, she's always been a great actress to me. She's an Oscar nominee. She was in what's the name of that movie? I can't even think of the movie now. Anyway, she got an Oscar nomination, so she's a strong actress. I think she was in Roseanne, and she's in Big Bang Theory. She's Sheldon's mom. So Sheldon's mom is a Ghostface killer in Scream 2. So there you go. So weaknesses, level of brutality. Like I said, when it comes to the level of brutality with her, I know she's in the weakness section. I believe she might have only killed one person, maybe two, but the one that she did, because I know she did Randy in the van. So she kind of did it kind of brutally. But when it comes to the level of brutality, I'm talking about cool kills and body counts. So while the kill from that she did with Randy was cool and I did like it, she made it into the weakness section there. And that's it. No neutrality. So it's either those 3 strengths and 1 weakness there. Billy Goat 126 Cheval says, "Did you watch all the Scream movies in theaters?" I did not. Wow. Scream 1 and 2, I was too young, so I wouldn't even be able to get in there. And Scream 3, I was already older enough to go. So I did watch Scream 3, 4, 5, and 6. And Nayana says, Randy's death was so sad. Yeah, he was kind of surprising. That was one of the surprises there. One of the surprise kills that they would kill him off, especially.
Wasn't it in like the middle of the day?
It was during the middle of the day, yeah. And it was unexpected, so yeah, it was a good kill and brutal. So that was from Mrs. Loomis. So let's move on to number 3. Where's number 3 here? Number 3 is Charlie Walker. Let's see here. Hold on a moment here. Number 3, we have Charlie Walker. He's in Scream 4. That's Rory Culkin. This actor, this character in the Scream franchise, because I reviewed everything before I made my ranking, and initially he wasn't this high up there. But considering what happens in Scream 4 and the brutality and the performance and the motives was all right. Um, I, I moved it up because I had the list of all the 9, and then I factor in, the 4 things in there, brutality, motive, all that stuff. And he kept like going up and up and up and up. Finally, it stayed at number 3. So that's Rory Culkin's Charlie. So let's get to the factors here. So we have the strengths, level of brutality. I think he killed them, a lot of them. He made a lot of the kills in Scream 4. The character, I like the character. He's like a stab fan, a movie fan, all that stuff. Kind of like what a lot of us horror fans are. Actor's performance, Roy Culkin's a great actor. He was even great in as a kid in Signs. So that wasn't going to be an issue. So it's definitely a strength. Weaknesses, I didn't find any weaknesses in there. And then neutrality would be the motive. The motive is like whatever, it wasn't terrible, not a great motive. We've seen it kind of before. So it's kind of like in the middle. So that's why I have the neutrality. And you've seen Scream 4, right, Matthew? So what are your thoughts on one of the Culkin brothers being a Ghostface killer?
He was right. Like you said, he was responsible for a majority of the kills in Scream 4. He was the muscle of the operation. And I don't know if I remember correctly, but wasn't his motivation because he was in love with what's her face?
Yeah, so that was part of it. So he was convinced by Gio Roberts, the character Gio Roberts. Let me read that motive there again. We have here Charlie was the first stab fan, Ghostface killer, and I mentioned earlier may have done the most kills in Scream 4. Gio convinced Charlie of manifesting his stab movie dreams to reality. So that was part of it too, in the form of a real life remake. So he kind of wanted to do like a real stab movie because he was such a stab fan, or a Scream fan if you want to say it like that. Any other thoughts on this, Matthew? Before we move to the top 2?
Honestly,
which I'm sure a lot of you guys already know, but there you go.
I'm gonna have to say no. I don't really remember much of him.
Okay, so obvious, number 2 and number 1 are pretty obvious, right?
Yep.
So number 2 is Matthew Lillard's Stu. So the original, one of the first 2 original Ghostface Killers. So let's go back to the factors there and why Matthew Lillard's character is on number 2 and not Skeet Ulrich. Let me try to find it here real quick here. Matthew, any quick thoughts on Stu or Matthew Lillard in Scream?
I'm also surprised by his being of Ghostface. Like there's that iconic scene of Sydney, like going to him and hugging him or whatever, and he's actually the other killer. So I did like that.
Yeah. So let's get to the strengths. Level of brutality. There's a lot of brutal kills. Not compared to like the newer Screams, but we're looking at 1996 levels of brutality, right? So he was pretty brutal in this movie, along with Skeet Ulrich, Billy Loomis. The character was a lot of fun. We all like Stu. Yeah, one of the things that you remember from Scream, at least for me, is Stu. When his famous lines, like "I'll be right back," stuff like that. So the character is great. That's why he's high up there. Actor's performance, Matthew Lillard is great. He's done a bunch of other stuff, so he's high up there. The neutrality section, it's the motive. The motive wasn't all that great to me here. Motivation again is, according to Stu, he went along with Billy's killing because he was sensitive and fell victim to peer pressure. So it's not that great, but he seemed like a person that would have been manipulated, and that's why I give it a pass. So that's why it's kind of like in the neutral section. We have Nayana. Loved his character, but his motive was definitely a little laughable. Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's kind of like, not so much to say that it's weak, but I give it a neutral section there. So that was Matthew Lillard's Stu. So going to the number 1, which I'm sure a lot of you guys know, is of course Billy Loomis. And Billy Loomis is the original gangster, Ghostface killer. He's the one that started it all. Without him, there wouldn't be, well, there probably wouldn't be any Ghostface Killers, but who knows. But yeah, so number one is him. Chevo says it was Shaggy's performance that makes it. Oh yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. Going back to the factors for the number one spot, Billy Loomis. As you can see right there on the screen, all strengths, no weaknesses, no neutrality in there. Level of brutality alone, the opening scene of Scream, that was Billy Loomis. From my understanding of this, unless I'm wrong, someone let me know.
Probably.
But I do believe it was him, and that is one of the best opening scenes in Scream, and it is the very first opening scene of Scream, and that was a pretty brutal scene there. Character was strong, was good. I still like Stu better when it comes to the character, but this is still a strength though for Billy Loomis. Actor's performance, great. I mean, he looks kind of like a psycho anyways, so it works for being Ghostface Killer and so on. And the motive is very, very strong as well. And let me just go back to it here. Wait, where is it? Oh, I think I just missed it right here. Oh, here we go. Billy's motives were that Sidney's mother had an affair with Billy's father, which led to Billy and Stu killing Sidney's mother and continuing a murder spree. So it's related to, I mean, he's a psychopath. So, I mean, like, something like this would trigger someone in there. Nayana says, Billy, and not one weakness, 100. Yep. Not a single weakness in there. The original gangster Ghostface Killer. That's Billy Loomis. So that's it. That's it for the ranking of the Ghostface Killers, Screams 1 through 5 only. Who's the actor? Skeet Ulrich. Skeet Ulrich plays Billy Loomis. He was in other movies like I can't even think of the movie now. As Good as It Gets. Yeah, he was in As Good as It Gets with Jack Nicholson. The Craft, so he was in that movie. So he hasn't been in anything lately from what I recall, except Scream 5. But yeah, so he's been in several movies there. So that's Skeet Ulrich. And let me see here. I think we're about to get into the spoilery section. Matthew, any final things that you want to add when it comes to the ranking that I have so far right now?
Well, Billy Loomis sure is the best. He set the norm for Ghostface Killers, and he started it all, like you said.
All right. So let's see here. So everyone, let me just change this real quick here. Okay, so I mentioned this earlier. The camera is still kind of glitchy. So, but this camera has the spoiler alert little graphic there. So we're in the spoiler territory of Scream 6. Okay, so again, if you haven't seen Scream 6 and you do not want to know what's happening there, you could leave or pause it or come back to it later, whatever the case might be. But we're about to get into Scream 6 spoilers. So spoiler alert, all right? So that's the warning right there. So as I mentioned earlier, I said that I was going to rank all Scream 6 Ghostface Killers. But I just saw it last night, so I've only seen it once. And what was very surprising about Scream 6, and the reason why I cannot rank all Ghostface Killers, including Scream 6, is because technically there's a shitload of Ghostface Killers. And I need to know who did what. So I need to watch this movie again to see who did this kill and who did the other kill. The motives, I know, pretty obvious. And the thing that was different, let's see. Oh no, I thought Chevo asked another question. So again, spoiler alert, Scream 6 here. So that's the reason why I just could not rank all the Ghostface Killers. Technically, there are 5 Ghostface Killers in Scream 6. And I'm going to go. I guess I'm kind of ranking them in a way, but not really. But that's what I'm going to do right now. So, again, this is spoiler alert for Scream 6. I'm going to talk about the revelations of Scream 6. So, just so you guys know, there it is. So, let's begin by showing this graphic here. Okay, so this is, we have the actor. Now, he was in Spider-Man. He was it Flash?
Flash Thompson. Yeah.
Flash in Spider-Man MCU. He was also in Servants and some other movies. So he's in this movie, and technically he is a Ghostface killer. And he only killed one person, and he's in the opening scene. So that's what part that's kind of a little different from the other ones, is that we have a typical phone call, an opening scene from Scream, calls the victim and so on. He kills his victim, and then he takes out the mask immediately, and then we know who it is. So you're like, what the fuck? What's going on here?
Yeah.
But at that point, I knew, okay, so he's not gonna be the Ghostface killer, because they're not gonna reveal it right now in the first 5 minutes of the movie. So let me read a little bit about what's going on there. Now, his friend or roommate, his name is Greg, and let me just read a little synopsis here. Now, the actor's name is Tony Revolori. Like I said, he was in Spider-Man. So Jason Carvey, who is this guy right here they see on the screen, and Greg wanted to finish Richie's movie from Scream 5, Jack Quaid. And they wanted to get back at Sam, as well as whoever else annoyed them. So he, this character, Jason Carvey, he killed Laura. Let me see her. Hold on a sec. She's the actress from Ready or Not. She kind of looks like I'm sure I'm getting a blank now. Hold on a sec. Samara Weaving. That's the actor's name. Laura Crane. That's the character. So she gets killed by this guy here, and that's his only victim. And him and his roommate Greg, I guess they're already planning on doing some kind of like a revenge thing against Sam and Tara. They want to finish Richie's movie, and they were kind of gonna start a killing spree or whatever. And that gets halted or stopped by the real Ghostface Killers of this movie, which we'll get to in just a bit. So that's one. Like I said, technically he's a Ghostface killer, but he gets killed off by another Ghostface killer, the main ones. So that's what we got there. So again, moving on to the other Ghostface killer here. So we have, hold on a sec. So we have Quinn. So Quinn is the other Ghostface killer in Scream 6. So again, everyone, spoiler alerts. If you're just joining, this is the spoiler alert section of Scream 6. I am talking about the revelations of Scream 6. So again, going back here, so this is Quinn. This is the second, or technically the third, because as mentioned earlier, Jason, the last graphic here, his roommate is technically also a Ghostface killer, but we never see him. We only see his dismembered body in a fridge. So he was a Ghostface killer. The only time that we see him is him dead. We don't see him alive ever, but he was a killer. They're already starting to do some kills, but these are the first two, him and the other guy. And I think the only image that I was able to find is the graphic dismemberment. So I didn't want to put that on here. So I didn't do that. So that's it. So this will be the third one that we're going to talk about here, Quinn. So she is. I'll just get into those details in a bit here. The next one is Ethan. Ethan, that's the other Ghostface killer here, and then we'll get into those details in just a bit. But is portrayed by Jack Champion, who was just in Avatar, The Way of Water. And then the main, I would say this is the main Ghostface killer, because he's kind of like the mastermind of it all, is Detective Whaley. Wait, did I get that right? Hold on a sec. We have, Wayne Bailey, Detective Wayne Bailey, Dermot Dermot Mulroney is the actor's name. Uh, Ethan Landry, that's again played by Jack Champion, and Quinn Bailey is played by Liana Liberato. So the motives for the main three Ghostface killers, as I mentioned in Scream 6, is that they wanted revenge on Sam for killing Richie, played by Jack Quaid in 2022's Scream. So they are Richie's family. So this guy is Richie's dad, and the other two are Richie's siblings. Quinn and Ethan are Richie's brother and sister. So that's their motive. They want payback. And they also want to... it goes into more detail as to what it is that they want. Let me just see if I have more information about that. I don't think I wrote something else here. Okay. Ultimately, they wanted revenge, and the reason why I needed to wait for this is because I need to find out who did what, like who did the kills and all that stuff. So that's why I was kind of just waiting before I could actually include them in the Ghostface Killer ranks. Maybe later in the year, like during Halloween time, maybe I'll do a full ranking, including Scream 6 Ghostface Killers. And again, everyone, this is the spoiler alert section, the spoiler section of Scream 6. If you're just joining us now, this is the spoilery section of Scream 6. Just letting you guys know. All right, so then that was it. So, I mean, ultimately here, Matthew, you liked Scream 6, right?
Yes, I sure did.
And, I mean, I mean, overall, I really did like the way it panned out. It was a lot of fun. It was a little different, and it was entertaining and all that stuff. So that's it for the review of Scream 6 and the rankings of the Ghostface Killers and so on. I feel like I'm missing something. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Matthew?
I did not guess who the killer was gonna be. That one dude, I already forgot his name. Ethan. That was like the obvious pick that I thought was too obvious that they weren't gonna go with it.
Yeah, right. It was one of the situations where, and then we're in the spoiler section. Let me go back to that screen. There we go. The spoiler alert camera, even though it's glitchy. Yeah. So when they announced, when we introduced Ethan, it's like, yeah, he looks like the obvious choice, right, to be the killer, and they kept bringing it up. I'm like, are they trying to say that it can't be him because they're bringing it up? But maybe that's part of the thing. It's part of like they're trying to. When I say they, I mean like the filmmakers. They're trying to like have us not focus on him because he did end up being one of the Ghostface Killers. So it was kind of cool when they reveal that there's like not that there's only just one, but then they revealed a second one and then later a third one, and it was like, oh shit! It's like there's a lot of these Ghostface Killers in Scream 6. So yeah, I like that. There's that one shot with Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son, Mason Gooding, who plays, I think his character is Chad.
Oh yeah, Chad.
I like that part when they reveal that it's more than one Ghostface killer, and then they start like
stabbing him.
Yeah. So that was a cool shot there. So yeah. So anything else, Matthew?
No, I don't. I think all my thoughts have been said.
All right. So I think that's pretty much it. Before we close this here, so again, I'm doing the Hogwarts Legacy PS5 Deluxe Edition physical copy to one YouTube Movie Canon subscriber or Instagram follower. The descriptions on how to, or the details as to how to enter are in the description sections of, there's a Hogwarts Legacy giveaway video that I have, a little short that I have on my channel. And then on Instagram, there's a couple posts in there that you can go into that. The main thing that I have to say is obviously you have to be subscribed to the channel or following the Instagram page. And you have to have a mailing address within the United States. So I'm not going to be able to mail it out of the country. So just so you know that. So far it looks like we're getting enough entries there to actually activate it. And it looks like I am going to be able to give this away to one winner. And I'll give you the details about how we're going to do that a little later. But refer your family and friends. Join us here for future content, future streams, and so on. As mentioned, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I think that's going to be it for Scream 6, the non spoiler review we did earlier, and the ranking of the Ghostface Killers 1 through 5, and a little discussion of the new killers for Scream 6. So, thank you so much, everyone. Matthew, thank you so much for being part of the stream again.
Sure.
And that'll conclude and end this stream. And thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys next time.